Oh, it works.
Awesome. Cool. So yeah, so in terms of recording this, it could be good just to give context, or I don't know, send it into the group or privately, up to you. But essentially, I saw your post inside the group about looking for appointment setters.
Yeah.
And I guess what I have been doing with my agency and if my clients' agencies too is that we try to scale on processes first rather than the people that we hire. So in hiring someone who is an appointment setter, we're hiring their skill set, which is fine. The problem is that it can be tricky to scale on that. So what I've have done my last agency and this
Yeah,
one
you don't
now is
have to sell me on systems.
okay, cool.
I'm
Great.
already with you on there, and so is everybody listening.
Okay, cool. So the whole idea behind this was to take anyone and put them into this process and for them to be able to generate a predictable
Succeed
result.
with it.
So yeah, that's it. So what it looks like behind the scenes, essentially, is if I come into my team portal, where am I going? Sales and leads team, to-dos and
So can I
outreach.
ask, so you're using Basecamp.
Yes.
You like it better than like, some of the alternatives, Asana and Trello and
So this is a good question. I like it personally more than those, and we go into a lot about how to set up a team portal for your team. And the main thing is that it should be able to host your processes and keep everything centralized. So all of your templates, chat is all up in here as well. I've tried other platforms. I didn't like how they worked. I try not to force people onto one. I say try them all, and because the most important thing is that you as the agency owner knows how to use it well above your team, right? Because if you can't use it, there's no hope for anyone else. So yeah, I like this. I've been using since 2013, so it has worked quite well. Now essentially what we try to do with cold outreach is we try to clone what I would be doing on the platform if I was on there for the whole day, right? So a lot of people think of cold outreach as just connecting and sending a inbox to that lead. That's good. However, there's a lot more outside of that, right? Like for example, you can engage in content, you can comment, you can share content, you view, endorse, there's a lot of different triggers that should be used to either create new conversations or existing conversations.
Can I just ask you, Jamie, based on what you said, it sounds like your primary vehicle right now is LinkedIn. Am I?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is about just under 40% last time I checked. So LinkedIn, Facebook, online forums is quite good. Community groups, Instagram's a little bit hit and miss, but still it's okay to have someone, use that platform as well. And alongside that, cold email too. So to give you an example from LinkedIn specifically, like a lot of these processes are designed to act on my behalf, engaging with prospects as if I was doing cold outreach on my own. So in this process, we are pretty much commenting on articles. Now, commenting on articles isn't going to generate calls, of course. However, it engages in current prospects. It gets our name seen out there a lot more. It allows us to seem like a real person who is not just trying to connect and sell someone immediately. So in this process,
if you're just sending the same generic spam message to everybody, and usually people who do that don't even have good messages.
Yes, indeed. So this is essentially my team logs into my account. They go through my newsfeed. They engage on content. So depending on if the content has the word launched or launched, let's say for example, they'll leave any of these comments here and this reaction here. If it has, let's say for example, a link to an external site, they'll comment with this and leave this, right? So this just creates that engagement across hundreds of prospects every single day, and that's helpful, of course. Another example too, which people don't think about, is LinkedIn has a lot of notifications that people aren't using. So your team or yourself, if you get a notification that says someone also commented on something that you commented on, then having a process for, say, your team to engage on that prospect is important, right? Or if someone is having a birthday or someone views our profile, or there was an article that suggested to us or a news story, like there's about 14 or so different triggers that you could be using to advance conversations and generate new leads outside of just connecting and inboxing someone, right? So we try to use every single platform to its capacity rather than
Just
just
like you're trying to make real connections with a human being. That's a scary thought.
At scale, at scale though, right? Because I don't have time to do it for 8 hours a day, but if I can figure out what I would respond to and how I would respond to that and then create processes around that, then I can clone myself on each platform and it still be really high quality, right? Another example
Can I ask
too.
you just,
Yes.
so you're engaging people on like 14 different levels. Like how much of a difference do you notice versus the standard, just let me blast something to your inbox?
I haven't got the increase, but I can tell you that we keep running those processes because things keep improving. So since we've added in those processes and since we've expanded just beyond connecting and inboxing, things have improved a lot. So I would hope that is from those processes, but which I'm sure it is. And then alongside that, another example from our conversational flow, right? So the team just goes through my inbox on all sort of platforms, depending on, if they ask me how maybe I'm doing, they've got a certain
Can you go back to that?
there.
So I was just looking at, these are all like the kind of objections you get and responses.
Not really objections. Conversations. How are you? What do you have for lunch? Did you go to the gym?
Yeah.
Everything, any little thing that comes up, it should be a cause and effect, right? So if someone asks how maybe
I'm as somebody who I've built 3 agencies and have had my own systems. This is pretty sharp, brother.
Thank you. So essentially they try to send it. If they can send it, great. They update our social CRM, and then I'll show you that shortly. So that goes through how to essentially update it. If they can't, because there's some unknown or maybe it doesn't really make sense, then they bring myself into that conversation. So that's just a very quick fly through some of our processes. And
I noticed references to your CRM to manage all that.
Yes.
What do you prefer for that?
So I'll show you the tracker, then I'll show you the social CRM. So
you probably already have all this planned, and I'm jumping the gun here.
The reason I'm trying to blaze through is because there's a lot of cool stuff, and I'm trying to show you the most coolest because I've only got 20 or so minutes.
Fair enough. What time is it, by the way?
8:10 at night, which is quite bright still, so it's good. So we take all of these processes and we slot them into this. So in this column here, we've got every single process, which you just saw on the other screen here, and we're tracking the output of each of those processes per week. So here, this sort of process was done 71% of the time for that week, and our total process outreach our total process output for cold outreach per day and the average for that week. Now, the reason I'd like doing this is because cold outreach is such an elusive thing, like what actually is bringing in those calls, right? So if I can track the cause and effect and say, okay, over time, we're doing these tasks and we get these amount of calls coming through, it can somewhat give some sort of control over it as well. So at the bottom of every single task, you see this looping protocol where essentially they go in and they cross off that task. And as they cross off that task, this will automatically update. So if I fill that in with X, that will automatically change to about 71. So this is good for understanding cause and effect. I can see that we have a much higher volume of, say, calls on that day, and because of these tasks here.
I can tell from the way you're doing it, you won't be able to perfectly track it, but it gives you an idea of what's working. I noticed when I worked with lawyers who advertised everywhere, where they would be on TV and they would be on billboards and they would be, they spend $100,000 on AdWords, and they would retarget people on Facebook, and they would get a phone call and they would have 4 or 5 touches in there, and was it the AdWords or the TV? But ultimately you could verify that the system itself was working.
Yes. Now, once a call comes through, we do track where that comes through from, because every platform gets their own unique tracking link.
Who are you targeting, by the way, if you don't mind me asking? What niches are you going after?
Pretty much service providers for our agency. And then alongside this as well, we also teach other companies how to build processes. So
When you say
it's
service providers, you mean like other agencies? Or you mean
accountants,
like,
lawyers, personal trainers.
okay, so like
So there's
offline brick
that
and
for,
mortar. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, hospitality as well, and entertainment. That works really well for this. And then alongside that, we also install procedures into other companies as well. So that's from a tracking point of view, helpful to understand what is bringing in the calls. Also great to set KPIs for the team. So if we have a really quiet period, I can say, all right, guys, how about if we aim for 80% every single day, and that way the team would actually adjust for that. Now the social CRM pretty much is just this here, whereby we have every single prospect which my team is talking to. We have a link to every single conversation, not to their profile. So this is easier if I need to get brought in.
Yeah.
As you saw before, if say this sort of team is
I like that you
unsure
call it
about
the battle map system.
if say the team is unsure what to respond with, they will then flag me, and then I'll get involved. And the intention is that as I actually reply to this, I'll come down here and I'll create a new sort of script for that scenario, so that hopefully next time I don't have to get brought in.
Yeah, you deal with it on the process level, not on the fighting fires kind of level. That's smart.
Yes. And then the intention behind this is it shows you when each prospect replied last. So Kevin replied last on the extra 23rd, which was 3 days ago. And this automatically updates every single day. So if, let's say, for example, Kevin actually replied last on the 14th, that should turn bright red. And that will then trigger a process for my team to go, hey, Kevin hasn't actually replied to us in X amount of days. Let's actually re-engage him again. And the reason behind this is because those that actually reply to us, they're not lost. It's those that do not reply, they get lost at the bottom of the inbox, right? Because as soon as someone replies, they come up to the top of your inbox. So this is designed to catch.
Behind this, just to ask you to like basically
Yes.
to stay on top of whoever's hot at the moment. Is that?
This is more so to stay on top on people who are not hot. Which sounds counterproductive, because those that are hot are coming up to the inbox, so you're not going to lose them anyway, right? So that's the social CRM point of view. Essentially, the team comes in here, crosses it off each day. As soon as they actually reply, green. If they don't, then red. And then once they ask for a call, we then have to get the call scheduled. So we then have a call request sheet, exact same idea. Whereby once someone's asked for a call, they then get put inside here, and we follow up with them until that call is scheduled. A lot of the time, there's some time zone problems, or my calendar's too full, so it's good to kind of just follow up who leads.
So are you doing all your own like sales calls right now?
I am currently, yes.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to, but I just haven't had time to get a sales person on. So that's from a cold outreach point of view. Hiring for it's pretty easy. We just hire a good communicator, not because we require them to talk, but because if there's any problems, they can relay that to me, and I can kind of update this sort of process. So
I'm with you. Every virtual assistant I've ever hired was English first, because you want to like, you can teach them anything, but you can't, if they don't understand you can't teach them anything.
Yes, very well said. So that's from a cold outreach point. That's pretty much everything that we do for cold outreach. In terms of how we help companies to engineer that, exact same thing. Nothing's really secret in the sense that, if we get a personal trainer or a coach or a service provider or another online like agency, we set them up with the same tracker, the same scripts framework, social CRM, call requests, so on and so on, right? And then we aim to give them every single pre-designed process for cold outreach. So if, for example, they need to sort out their incoming requests, or they need to follow up with some cold emails or endorse, like we've got every single process template for that, which they can install and customize and all of that cool stuff as well. So That's it, man. I mean, that was a pretty good explanation. Usually it takes me like half an hour or more. So I was like, yeah, I need to show this guy something helpful. Um, was that helpful? And any questions
Yes,
as
yes,
blazed through
yeah.
that?
So, obviously, like, how does it looks like a group coaching program where they get access to all your sort of like templates and stuff. Like, what does that typically go for, and how do you do that? And would you be open to a group deal if it made sense? That's probably
Group
like
deal?
three questions at once, but
Group deal, potentially. How it works is it's not a, it is a group program in the sense that we have a shared community, and that's been designed for people to pretty much trade processes and trade procedures. So that works quite well. We have 2 hands-on calls twice a week. These are pretty much where I get as hands-on as people will allow me to. Common examples are if they need help to update a process, or they need help to hire someone, or they would like me to create a sort of process for them, then I will on these calls. We have every single job ad template as well. Not that I'm sure you need help hiring, but just to show you a sort of
yeah.
example too. So, same sort of
No, but it's a time saver.
concept.
If somebody's busy, I get it.
Yeah, and
Like,
like my main, sorry, go on.
I was
Just
just gonna
talking,
say, like,
talking,
we
talking to
can
you.
figure out how to hire VAs. Most of the people in my group have some, but it's like if we don't want to have to re-engineer.
Yes. And also depending on, so we tackle 2 types of teams. We tackle the cold outreach, and then we tackle the actual client delivery team. So if you're doing ads, SEO, graphics, so on and so on. So it's really a program designed where I try to get people to become process engineers as quickly as possible. And the idea is to clone themselves or clone other people inside their team through processes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so
I take it the E-Myth was a huge influence on you.
I never read that. People
How
keep
could you
asking
not have
me,
read the
and
E-Myth?
they're like, no, I've never read it, which is surprising to a lot of people, but also I think comforting to know that someone else stumbled across this as well, just through like, because I've never heard the E-Myth, but I've heard a lot of the things I'm saying are like the E-Myth. So, I mean, is that right to assume, or?
Yeah, I mean, almost word for word, the philosophy of the book. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've heard secondhand is clone yourself through your processes so that you're
I've
not.
never read the book. Oh my gosh.
But if you do it already intuitively, I don't think you would get any great
Yeah.
ahas out of the book. For
I should
stupid
probably
people
read it
like
because
me that did everything themselves the first time through in their agency, it was like, oh.
I should, yeah. Well, I mean, I've had mine for like 10 plus years. So it took me like the first 6 years to learn this. I was like, oh, God, why
Yeah,
so hard?
same.
Price wise, 5,800 AUD. Lifetime access, we get as hands on as we can. Don't know what else I can show you. Yeah, but in terms of a group buy, potentially, depending on
Yeah, let's
how
talk
that
about that
works.
after. I'm gonna show this to
Okay.
some of my people and get some feedback anyway.
Yeah, sure, sure. The other thing that might be helpful as well, if they wanted to, or if you're keen to see more of a, I guess, pre-formulated example, there's a more in-depth walkthrough here, which they can opt in for, or if they just go to, I think it's demo, I think it is, they can kind of skip the opt-in if they like, um, and that kind of walks them through the actual entire program, every single template, every single example, so that they get to see everything up front in there. So that could be helpful too. If they want to hear from some of our clients, they can. Yeah, and of course, if there's any questions they have specifically, they can give me a yell, or they can put the questions through you, and I'm more than happy to help out. I don't consider myself a good salesperson, but I do like helping. So if there's any examples or use case scenarios or anything I can show them behind the scenes of our agency, more than happy to as well.
That's actually kind of my specialty, anyways. What we do in our group is largely about getting the offer right, so the sales is just easier, and the more you do that, the less you're dependent on really good salespeople. I actually just yesterday sold a car of ours that we've had in storage, and I just made like a really good offer. But it was weird because it's 15,000 kilometers away from me. I can't fix it up. I can't do anything, but I just made a really good offer. And then I just had a friend show it to me, and it didn't require great salesmanship because I just,
That's
gave a really
awesome.
good deal on it. And that's kind of our shtick is making the offer piece so strong that the sales happen very easily. I think the most extreme example of somebody not doing that right, and I did it for years, is SEO, where you basically say, give me a bunch of money every month, wait a long ass time.
Wait.
And then
Yes.
maybe if Google's not crazy, you'll get some rankings and hopefully make some money.
Yes. Very well said.
That's hard.
It is a hard sell, but it is the most profitable service that we run in our actual like agency as well. But yeah, it sort of can be a very tricky sell. For our program, it's an easy sell in the sense that I just show people and I just try to be as helpful as I can, and it kind of sells itself. So
Yeah, if they're at the right stage where they're hiring people already, then I can see where it just saves them a bunch of time to do it. I don't
also have
for the beginner agency owner just trying to
No.
get some leads, but if they're anywhere from like 1 to 10 virtual assistants and they don't have processes, and I know for like me personally, like when you first start it, you're managing all of them as a manager, not as through your processes, and then you end up like in a situation where every day your VAs are like, what do you want me to do? And you got to like constantly be scheduling them out as well.
Feeding them work.
Process oriented, which are probably not that's one of the things I was not necessarily the strongest out of my agency, but when you get it in place, like you said, the processes do the management, and then you're just updating for the little asterisks of like, what do I do in this scenario or that scenario?
The other use case scenario is we have a lot of agencies who come through who are still just themselves. They're reaching about 6, 7 clients. So they're kind of reaching at capacity. They don't have time to prospect and do client work. So it's kind of like we try to get a team to help them out as well. And then the other use case is we have like companies who have a team of 42 come through, and that is absolute chaos, and just trying to organize them too. So pretty much for anyone who wants to get organized and create processes is who I would say this is for, of course.
Totally. Can I just say,
anything,
by the way, thank you for showing me this. It's actually really super.
No, of course. If I had more time, I would show you some more cool things, but I have to go on like 4 minutes.
I'm going to tell you, get a process for your sales in place. I'll send you some stuff because I actually have some good things for that.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I just haven't found the right person.
Yeah. But I would say, this is just my little take on the agency, is make your offer easy enough to sell that you're less.
Oh, for the agency, that's fine. I meant for this program.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's a little bit trickier, that one. Not so much, but yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah, I get it, because it's almost like you've had to have an agency for like 5-10 years to understand it, and then if you did, you probably aren't going to want to sell for somebody else, and then.
Correct.
Like, so being tricky.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, good to connect briefly. Anything else I can show you or send?
No, but I would like this to be a hello, not a goodbye, because I have some collaborate. I would like to show this to some of my people as well, if you're open to maybe doing an interview later. Yeah,
for sure. That sounds good.
All right, brother.
Awesome, man. Well, enjoy your morning. I'll chat to you soon, okay?
Man, enjoy your evening. I can't believe it's still daylight out, but I guess you got summer.
See you, man. Bye.